Learning how to learn. This is a really important process. Learning the actual process of learning. And what I mean by this is, how do we learn as humans? This is something that we do obviously a lot with tutoring and things like that, but if you can understand the learning process and understand your child and how they learn, it makes teaching lessons and guiding them so much easier. So if you actually think about it, what are we as human beings? We're a centralized computer or unit that uses sensory modalities to measure our environment. So we've got 5 senses. That's the only 5 ways that we can actually communicate with our world. It's through seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and smelling. If you lose one of them, you lose that ability to communicate with the world. So that actually makes it quite simple, because they are the only 5 ways you can learn, is through those pathways. So, once again, they're neurons. It's like going to the gym. If by doing more and more of it, you start building it, your body develops. And neurons work the same way as muscle cells in that. So, if you go to the gym and you're just doing biceps for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, you're gonna get these massive biceps, but you're gonna have these really small legs and this other really small arm. And learning's the same thing. So we look at the learning languages. We look at, auditory. You have oral, auditory, kinesthetic. They're our main ones, because taste and smell, we're pretty bad at them as human beings. Like cats and dogs, obviously they're very, very developed in those areas, but we're not that great with them. So unless you're a chef or directly working in those areas, they're not really that important. This is why schools really focus on visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Now, me up here right now, I'm talking auditory, so people who are really good at listening to things and picking up lessons, they're going to pick this up really well. The PowerPoint is visual, so people who like to see stuff, they're going to develop that. But kinesthetic right now, unless you guys are fiddling with a pen, you guys aren't doing anything. It's not helping those people. And the one thing I learned at school, and that I saw, is that generally the kids who are doing amazing in music are the same kids who dust the school. The kids who are doing amazing in sport are the same kids who do bad at school most of the time. And that's because in music, you're constantly playing music. You're listening to tones and sounds and vibrations, all the same things that a lecturer or a teacher does in a classroom when they're talking. So you develop that pathway where you can learn a lot faster. Whereas with kinesthetic, I was very heavily kinesthetic, where I learned well from feeling. I was always thinking about where I was in the water and how that felt. And so what I've learned over the years is I need to embed kinesthetic movements into my learning process. So you'll always see me with a fidget spinner or spinning with a pen or something like that, because it's the touch, the feeling on that object that allows me to open up those pathways and learn. So, the first thing you want to do is understand which one of these is your child strongest at, which one are they weakest at, are they good at all of them? Because I'll tell you right now, the best learners across the board are good at all 3. Which means that any learning environment they can go into, they can learn and they can do well and they can thrive. And like I said, these can all be built. And so over the years, I've had to really work on my oral ability by listening to podcasts, listening to things, and learning that way. And the other 2 I was always strong at from my background. So, it's about building those up and building that repertoire, so then when your children do go out into the real world, it doesn't matter who their teacher is, who their boss is, who their friends are, who their partner is, they can learn and understand in any environment, because people will teach naturally in their best learning, which is why I'm moving around and walking around, all that sort of stuff. Because that's comfortable for us. It's how we think. So that's a really important concept to understand when trying to work with your child.